The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, Colombo port sees strong surge in container volumes in July, driven by transshipment growth and rising trade activity. Sri Lanka's electric vehicle crisis deepens as power falls found in multiple brands beyond BYD. ASPI and S&P SL20 decline as market sentiment wavers amid economic uncertainty. And China and Japan factory activity slows amid rising trade tensions and global demand uncertainty.
From Studio 24C, The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Port of Colombo saw a strong 17.2% increase in container volumes in July 2025, driven mainly by robust transshipment growth. This surge boosted overall cargo handling and vessel arrivals, reflecting a positive outlook for Sri Lanka's maritime trade.
The Port of Colombo experienced a significant 17.2% year-on-year increase in container volumes in July 2025, reaching 721,661 TEUs. This growth was primarily driven by a strong 18.4% rise in transshipment volumes, which now account for 80% of the port's local trade. Also saw gains, with import containers increasing by 10.1% and export containers rising by 13.7%. Overall cargo handled surged by 15.7% to 9.9 million tons, supported by an 8.3% increase in total ship arrivals. The results reflect a robust mid-year recovery for the Port of Colombo and a positive outlook for Sri Lanka's maritime trade.
The Ministry of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development announced plans to allocate 50,000 acres of suitable land for industries across Sri Lanka. This was discussed during a recent Sectoral Oversight Committee meeting chaired by MP Lakmali Hemachandra. The committee recommended a report be prepared in consultation with the Land Reform Commission, Urban Development Authority and Sri Lanka Export Development Board. Currently, only 0.01% of Sri Lanka's land is allocated for industries, far below the international average of 3%. Past allocations were made without a national plan, sometimes influenced by political reasons, causing various challenges. Sri Lanka faces growing concerns of electric vehicles being sold with lower motor outputs compared to their international versions, prompting authorities to investigate. The Customs Department has detained numerous BYD Auto 3 vehicles and plan to test other models suspected of firmware limited power reductions.
Sri Lanka is investigating electric vehicles sold in the country with lower motor outputs than their counterparts in markets like Australia and Thailand. Customs detained around 1,000 BYD Atto 3 vehicles due to complaints about power discrepancies, with further detentions of other EV models following. The reduced motor outputs may be due to price discrimination, tax bracket alignment, or to extend driving range, often managed through software limitations. A committee will be appointed soon to conduct tests on these vehicles, including other brands suspected of similar practices. Authorities aim to ensure compliance and transparency as the electric vehicle market grows in Sri Lanka.
The Ministry of Transport, Highways, Ports and Civil Aviation has announced a major renovation project for Colombo Fort Railway Station. The project, funded by the Asian Development Bank, is valued at 1.395 billion rupees. It aims to transform the station into a modern transport hub with upgraded facilities and amenities. Tenders for the renovation have already been called, with construction expected to begin by the end of this year. The project is scheduled to be completed within 15 months. This upgrade will provide commuters with a state-of-the-art railway station and improve Colombo's overall transport infrastructure. Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's stock market saw a dip today, with both major indices closing lower. Investor sentiment remained cautious amid broad economic and market uncertainties. For further insights, we have Manu Shikandanarachi from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Jenna. The Colombo bourse saw a reversal in the buying sentiment over the past couple of days, with profit-taking activity particularly evident in the banking sector counters and conglomerates. The ASPI closed lower at 20,991, down by 72 points as well. However, positive momentum was noted in hotel sector ahead of the seasonal period. Additionally, there was increased participation from high net worth investors in selected material sector stocks. Ceylon Tobacco Corporation, Sampath Bank, NDB Bank, Commercial Bank and John Keel's Holdings were the top contributors to the index's decline. Both retail and high net worth investor participation was high during the today's session as well. Market turnover stood at 7.5 billion rupees, representing a 9% increase compared to the monthly average of 6.9 billion rupees as well. The material sector led turnover contributions with a 34% share, while the capital goods and consumer services sectors collectively accounted for 29% of the today's total turnover. Industrial asphalts, Tess Agro and Janashakti Finance emerged as the top losers for the day, whereas Equity 2 PLC, Aiken Spence Hotel and Haley's Leisure posted the largest price gains for the day as well. Thank you.
Sri Lanka's CCPI inflation reflects current consumer price trends, offering key insights into the cost of living. The latest figures help gauge economic stability and guide monetary policy decisions. For further insights, we have Shahana Kanagaratnam from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Jenna. Following 11 consecutive months of deflation, headline inflation, as measured by the year-on-year change in the Colombo Consumer Price Index, returned to the positive territory in August 2025, recording 1.2% compared to the deflation of 0.3% in July 2025. Food inflation accelerated to 2% year-over-year in August 2025 from 1.5% recorded in July 2025. Non-food inflation, which remained negative since September 2024, also turned positive, recording 0.8% year-over-year in August 2025 compared to the deflation of 1.2% in July 2025. On a month-on-month basis, the CCPI declined by 0.38% in August 2025, for which the food category contributed 0.49% in negative terms and the non-food category contributed 0.11% points. Meanwhile, core inflation, which rose year-over-year, reflecting the underlying inflation trends in the economy, accelerated to 2% in August 2025 from 1.6% in July 2025. The projections indicate a gradual acceleration of inflation in the period ahead, moving towards the target of 5% set by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka with the support of appropriate policies. Thank you.
Gold prices hit a record high in Asian trade today as persistent bets on U.S. interest rate cuts and heightened uncertainty over U.S. President Donald Trump's trade tariffs kept traders biased towards a yellow metal. Spot gold surged 0.8% to a record high of $3,508.54 an ounce, while gold futures for December hit a peak at $3,578.20 an ounce. Among broader metal prices, spot silver rose 0.1% to $40.75 an ounce, while having earlier rallied past the $40 level for the first time since the late 2011. Spot platinum rose 0.7% to $1,421.55 an ounce and was just in sight of a recent 11-year high. Benchmark copper futures on the London Metal Exchange rose 0.3% to $9,919 a ton, while COMEX copper futures rose 0.4% to $4,595 a pound. Oil prices with little change in Asian trade today, holding on to the previous session gains as traders weighed the risk of fresh supply disruptions from the Russia-Ukraine conflict against expanding output from OPEC Plus members. Brent oil futures expiring in November gained 0.3% to $68.33 a barrel after jumping more than 1% yesterday. West Texas Intermediate crude futures did not settle yesterday due to U.S. holiday and traded 1.3% higher from their Friday close at $64.81 per barrel. Oil prices settled higher yesterday after reports of renewed Ukrainian strikes on Russian refining and export facilities. Offsetting these risks, increased production from the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies OPEC Plus in recent months has raised fears of a supply glut. The Sri Lankan rupee remains steady against the US dollar at commercial banks in Sri Lanka today than compared to yesterday. The rupee has underperformed compared to some regional currencies, neighboring currencies like the Indian rupee and the Bangladeshi taka, and experienced modern gains recently. However, the Sri Lankan rupee continues to face pressure due to ongoing economic challenges. Let's take a closer look on how the Sri Lankan rupee has performed among the other major currencies. A short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sampath Bank PLC has partnered with Prime EV Automobiles to promote electrical mobility in Sri Lanka. The collaboration offers exclusive financial benefits for customers purchasing eco-friendly Deepal vehicles.
Sampath Bank PLC has entered a strategic partnership with Prime EV Automobiles Private Limited to support the growth of electric mobility in Sri Lanka. The agreement focuses on the Deepal brand, a range of eco-friendly electric vehicles introduced by Prime EV in collaboration with Changan Automobile. Through this partnership, Sampath Bank offers exclusive financial benefits to customers purchasing Deepal vehicles, including a 0.5% annual interest rate reduction and interest-free loans for insurance premiums if settled within 2 months. Additionally, Sampath Bank credit cards issued under this scheme will have no joining fee, and insurance payments made using them can be repaid over 12 months at 0% interest.
PICME has entered a strategic research collaboration with the University of Moratuwa to develop technological solutions tailored specifically for Sri Lanka's unique mobility challenges. This partnership aims to create scalable, locally relevant innovations for diverse populations from rural areas to urban centers. PICME seeks qualitative research support from the university to deepen its reach beyond traditional ride-hailing markets and serve unrepresented demographics. The collaboration allows PICME access to advanced research capabilities without the need for its own R&D division, while providing practical learning opportunities for the students. This initiative marks a shift in Sri Lanka's business-academic relations, emphasizing research-driven competitiveness and innovation. People's Bank has launched its mini POS payment solution to enhance financial inclusion and support Sri Lanka's digital economy goals. The device aims to power SMEs and micro merchants with affordable, seamless card payment options.
People's Bank has introduced its mini POS merchant payment solution to boost financial inclusion and support the National Digital Economy Initiative. The launch event, organized by the People's Card Center and Liberty Plaza branch, saw the first 5 devices hand over to key business clients. Tailored for SMEs and micro merchants, the mini POS device allows for seamless card payment acceptance with low operational costs. It offers the lowest merchant discount rate in the market, free installation installation and training, along with features like e-signatures and digital receipts.
The British High Commissioner Andrew Patrick praised Senec campus as a perfect example of student-centric private education during the launch of its partnership with Anglia Ruskin University, UK. The event took place on the 7th of August at the Shangri-La Hotel, attended by government officials and industry leaders. The High Commissioner highlighted Senec's strong focus on hard sciences, state-of-the-art facilities, and an outstanding learning environment. He commended the institution's commitment to achieving the best outcomes for its students. The collaboration celebrates Senec's 35 years of excellence and Anglia Ruskin's 150-year legacy in higher education. DFCC Bank, through its women-focused initiative, DFCC Aloka, continue its support as diamond partner for the Pratibha Abhisheka Women Entrepreneur Awards 2025. The awards, organized by the WCIC, celebrate and empower women-led enterprises driving innovation and growth in Sri Lanka.
DFCC Bank, through its flagship women-focused program, DFCC Aloka, sponsoring the Pratibha Abhisheka Women Entrepreneur Awards 2025 as the diamond and official banking partner for the fourth consecutive year. The awards, organized by the Women's Chamber of Industry and Commerce, recognize women-led businesses in Sri Lanka that promote innovation, inclusion, and sustainable growth. DFCC Aloka provides tailored financial solutions, advisory services, and capacity-building opportunities to support women entrepreneurs. The partnership aims to inspire more women to pursue entrepreneurship and contribute to the country's economic development.
Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stocks were mixed bag today as uncertainty over US trade tariffs and interest rate cuts kept investors to the sidelines, while Chinese markets fell from recent peaks following mixed data for August. Japan's Nikkei 225 rose 0.5%, while the Topix index added 0.7%. South Korea's Kospi was the best performer in Asia, by 0.9%, after consumer price index inflation data reached softer than expected. Singapore's Straits Times index rose 0.5%. China, Shanghai, Shenzhen, CSI 300 and Shanghai Composite indexes fell 0.9% and 0.8% respectively. Hong Kong's Hang Seng index fell 0.7%. Australia's ASX 200 fell 0.3%. India's Nifty 50 index opened 0.2% higher today. China's manufacturing activity shrank for a fifth straight month in August, and it was a similar story in Japan, with both nations unsure how bad the impact of Trump's sweeping global tariffs will be.
The cold streak goes on for China's factories. Figures out Sunday showed manufacturing activity shrinking for a fifth straight month. The official Purchasing Managers' Index did edge up to 49.4 in August. But that's still below the 50-point mark that would indicate rising activity. The country's economy faces headwinds including US tariffs, an ailing property sector, and rising fears over job losses. Economists say all that could derail Beijing's bid to hit growth of around 5% this year. In August, the US and China extended their trade truce for another 90 days. That locked in place 30% US levies on imports from China and 10% Chinese duties on goods going the other way. Beijing policymakers have ramped up consumer subsidies as one response in a bid to boost demand. But domestic spending remains weak, with sentiment sapped by the prolonged slump for the property market, a key store of household wealth. There was a similar story in Japan on Monday. The manufacturing PMI there held below 50 for a second month. An economist at survey compiler S&P Global said the big concern there was a sharp drop in new export orders, which fell at their fastest pace in nearly a year and a half.
Tesla sales rout in some European markets extended into an 8-month in August amid mounting competition from both Chinese EV rivals and traditional automakers, as well as a backlash against CEO Elon Musk.
Tesla's sales woes in some European markets dragged on to an 8th month in August. The electric vehicle giant was hit by competition from both Chinese rivals and traditional automakers. A backlash against CEO Elon Musk's support of far-right parties has also continued. Car registration numbers from France, Denmark and Sweden showed Tesla's revamped Model Y had little impact on stopping falling sales. Data from France on Monday showed registrations of new Tesla cars fell over 47% in August against the same month last year. That was despite the overall car market growing over 2%. Tesla registrations fell more than 84% in Sweden and dropped 42% in Denmark. Norway broke the trend with registrations up more than a fifth, but China's BYD saw their numbers fly up 218%. Tesla has several problems in Europe. The company has a small aging lineup and hasn't released a new mass-market model since the Model Y 5 years ago, while new Chinese rivals and traditional automakers are flooding the market with fresh designs. The EV giant's competitive problems have been further affected by Musk's politics. He helped bankroll Donald Trump's US presidential election win last year, and he's shown support for European far-right parties, which has led to a fierce consumer backlash.
That wraps up today's Nightly Business Report. We value your opinion. Share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076805793. We will see you again tomorrow with the latest updates in the business globe. Vinod Varnasuriya will meet you next with other Derana Sports Central. Until then, I'm Jenna Newman. Thank you for watching and have a great night.